Hello everybody, and welcome to my impressions of the Rainbow Six Siege beta. So this is one of those short little betas that they're doing, where they're just gathering a ton of information before the game comes out. The game comes out in early December, but when we look at like the list of Rainbow Six games, we actually haven't really gotten a good Rainbow Six game in a while. In fact, the last Rainbow Six game that launched was in 2008. That was Vegas 2. And then Vegas was in 2006, and I know a lot of people who would say Vegas was better than Vegas 2, but that's obviously a subjective thing. Either way, we haven't had a Rainbow Six game in a long time. So this is actually a pretty important launch for those fans of that genre of shooters, the realism shooter. And in particular, the Rainbow Six stuff has typically been all about squad-based, like, objective shooting, right? Where it's really, you know, it's more on the realism side of it, but it's also kind of more along the squad-based, you know, team-based kind of things going on. Now, what is Siege? Because Siege is, it's a different beast entirely, and they're doing some really cool stuff with it. But basically, it's got the objective mode that you would see kind of like in Counter-Strike, where it's one side that is doing one thing while the other side has to get to that one thing that the other side is doing. So, like, let's say there is a bomb that the quote-unquote terrorist side has to defend, and then the counter-terrorist side has to go and find said bomb and defuse it, right? This is not a new thing. This has been around in games for a while. However, the way that Siege changes it up is what it does is you have these set pieces, you know, is what I'll call them. They're buildings. Sometimes, like, one of the levels that we know is coming that isn't in the beta right now is a aircraft. It's a plane that's landed. So you have, like, these situations where you're in the set piece, and the set piece is incredibly destructible, and that's kind of what sets this apart. So because it's a realistic type shooter, you have, you know, realistic things that need to happen, such as breaching rooms, clearing rooms out. You have the technology that you can use, such as the drones, and being able to disrupt drones if you're on the other side with, you know, different technology. You got C4 and stuff. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that goes into this. And not many games do this thing very well, but I would say Siege does it incredibly well. The way that it handles the entire, like, atmosphere of the game. It's all really tense, and you're just sitting there. Just a lot of the time, like, when you're defending, you're just kind of like waiting for the enemy to come, and you know that they're coming. And if you're attacking, you're just like, you're really tense because you're scouting things out. You're trying to figure out where the enemy team is, you know, where have they set up their defenses. You can send your scout drone in. You can kind of get a good idea of what's going on. It's really, really cool. So overall, the idea of Siege and how they've done it is really good, and they've done a really good job with it. That being said, there are some bad things about the game that we'll talk about for sure. But before we get there, I do just want to mention that there is different play modes, because you have, like, you know, in the beta you have the team deathmatch where it's one team versus another, right? It's a PvP mode. But there's also a PvE mode, which is called Terrorist Hunt, where you can have, you know, your team of people that you go in and you just kill AI, and they have different difficulty settings for that, and you get rewards based on that. And these rewards matter because you also get rewarded in the PvP mode, but the rewards matter because they allow you to unlock new characters to play, which we'll talk about in a second. And then they also allow you to upgrade weapons and change out, you know, different things on your weapons. So when it boils down to, say, the characters, or what they call operators, you have two sets. You have the attackers and you have the defenders. So, like, an attacker, you know, an operator with the attacking traits will have, like, shields, like riot shields. They'll also have breach charges, whereas, like, the defenders will have, you know, things that they could put up, like barriers that they could put down, or they can actually reinforce walls and stuff. And this is all really important on the defense side, because you know, like walls and doors, anything that isn't concrete or metal can basically be blown up, which means if you're in a building with wooden walls, the attacking team can breach through those wooden walls. So you have to basically go and reinforce those walls as a defender, so that way they can't get through specific stuff. But you have limited amount of reinforcing stuff that you can use, so it then turns it, you know, into a strategic thing where you're trying to defend from specific angles. And you're also, when you spawn into the map with your team, you're trying to switch it up by, you know, switching where the objective is in each round, because basically at this point in time the game is a best of 5. So the first team to 3 basically wins, or best of 4, best of 5. So yeah, first team to 3 wins, which is really cool because it's really tense. Sometimes you'll be, you know, up 2 games, and that the enemy team will win 2 games in a row. By the way, it switches from defense to offense. So if you started on defense, the next game will be defense, and then it will go back to offense and then defense, and it'll rotate back and forth. So you'll never be doing the exact same thing 2 rounds in a row, which is really cool. I like that. But the thing with that is, yeah, you have to kind of change it up, because you're voting, like when you go into the map mode, before the game starts, you're voting where the objective will basically spawn if you're the defending team. If you're the offending team, you're voting on when you, or where you will spawn from. And I like that because it does add a little bit of variety into it, and that's important, as we'll talk about when I start talking about the bad things about the game. Ironically, it's not the variety, it's actually the amount of sameness that happens within that variety. But either way, so you unlock these operators, or what they're called, and that allows you to do different things. So they have a different kind of operator. Some of them are heavily armored, such as the ones with the shield. Then you have the light armored, more support people, such as IQ, which is one of the first ones that I unlocked. And she's really cool because she has like an ability to flip open this little screen, and she can see electronic devices near her, so like C4 or, you know, electronic jammers and stuff, which is really important when you're attacking. It's actually pretty rad. I like it, but I feel like it could use a little bit more functionality, just because some of the other guys are really overpowered. Like there's a Spetsnaz guy that he basically has this charge that he puts through like the walls or, you know, windows and stuff like that, and it shoots a ton of grenades into the room, and it's kind of overpowered at the moment. Now I can't really talk to balance as much, because I feel like not only am I not super good at the game, but I feel like that's all going to change when the game launches anyway, so it's not really going to matter too much, is it? But the game, within that realm of, you know, currently feeling like there's some overpowered stuff, is still really good, and that's a good sign. So let's talk about the bad things. Just get those out of the way before we like basically wrap this up on like what my overall impressions of the game are. So the main bad thing that I see with this game is that it's suffering from the same thing that Evolve did. Evolve was a really cool concept, but after 2 weeks after the game launched, nobody played the game anymore. The community around it just dissolved. And a lot of that is because the game is very repetitive. You look at a game like Counter-Strike, it is also very repetitive. You know, Heroes of the Storm, League of Legends, Dota, those games are all very repetitive, but within those matches, very different things happen. But the game is remaining fresh, especially in the MOBA scene, by constantly adding new heroes to play, or champions, or whatever you want to call them. And then in the Counter-Strike scene, it's like hyper competitive, so there's that edge that StarCraft has, right, where you're just constantly trying to get better at what you're doing, so the game doesn't necessarily get stale. Whereas, you know, a game like Evolve, the depth only goes so far, and after you've done that same match over and over against the monsters, or if you are the monster, you've done it over and over against the hunters, it got to a point where it just wasn't as fun anymore. Like, it's still a well-designed game, still a really good game, but it just wasn't as fun. And I fear that this will happen to Siege. Siege does have a lot of tactical depth to it, and I feel like there is always going to be that group of people that just love Rainbow Six stuff. Like, I'm sure there are still people who play Vegas, even though the game came out in 2006. But I feel like that might be such a small community that we should just kind of like not ignore it, but just like let's forget about that for a second, right? Let's talk about the big community, the overarching community, the people who are going to play the game when it comes out, not the people who are going to play the game no matter what. I feel like they will get burnt out after a few weeks. The game is launching with 5 maps and quite a few operators, so you have stuff to unlock, which is really cool. And you progress with these levels that you do, and you're constantly gaining renown the more that you play, and the renown is what you use to purchase either more operators or more stuff for your guns. But if they don't add like a steady flow of maps, or even more operators, even new game modes, then I feel like people are gonna get kind of bored with it very quickly, and that might be a bad thing. And if I were you and you were considering playing or playing it at launch and pre-ordering it, I would say wait to pre-order it. Give it that first week, because Ubisoft has been known to not necessarily launch stable games. Not saying that that's going to happen here, but I mean, there's a huge likelihood just from the track record from Ubisoft that it may. So I would say wait, give it that like first week, see what people's thoughts or what their thoughts on it are. Unless you know that you're going to play Rainbow Six Siege for a long time, then I would say don't pre-order. Just give it a week and see what the community's doing after a week. Are they bored with it? Are they going to continue to play it? Because it may end up being just like Evolve, where there's such a small community left over that it might be really hard to get into the game after that. But that being said, if the community does stick around and the game does continue to have new maps, new game modes, new operators, and the game is going to be fantastic because it's really fun to play. There is a lot of strategic depth to it. When things go right, they go right, and they feel really, really fun. Plus, you have the multiple game modes, like we mentioned before. You have the PvE mode and the PvP modes. The PvE modes, maybe they'll add more of that, and maybe they'll change the PvP modes, how they feel. Basically, they're in the beta, they're all the exact same thing. They're defend the bomb or defuse the bomb. They're defend a point or get to the point and secure it. But I know that the game is going to launch with it's like a hostage mode, so you have to find the hostage and you have to get them out, which is really cool. You have to extract the hostage. And that's cool because if you're trying to extract the hostage, but you accidentally shoot them because you kill them because you throw a grenade in a room, or you breach the room and you just start shooting randomly, like that, then you obviously lost because you killed your hostages you're supposed to be saving. But that actually adds a lot of strategic depth, again, because you have to scout the area. You have to go into the room with a drone, or being able to get some kind of view into the room that the hostage is at. That way you don't go and kill the hostage. It has a huge skill cap in that regard. The people who are going to be really good at the game are not the people who are really good at shooters. They're the people who are really good at playing well with other people, right? The teamwork aspect is going to make you good at this game, more so than the aspect of, going out and just like solo killing everything. Because if you're playing against a really good team, you're just going to get wrecked if you're going to try to lone wolf it. In fact, there was one match that everything went really right, that I recorded, that it was really cool to watch because it gave you a sense of what Siege is when you're playing with a full group of friends, despite the fact that we only had 3 of us on voice comms, while the other 2 were new and weren't part of our group that we were playing with. Actually, let's take a look at that game. Now, this is all going to happen fairly quickly, so I'm going to try to kind of keep you informed of what's going on, but basically we're currently in the first stage where we're just trying to find the objective, right? We know the objective is somewhere in this building, so we have to find it. Turns out it's on the top level, so we have to go all the way up there when we get into the action phase to go and find the defenders and either kill them or secure the area up there. So it's pretty nice because, knowing where it's at, we can actually plan a way in. remembered that 2 of us were not part of the voice comms and we're not chatting, so they had no idea what was going on. But the idea, basically here is to get as much information as possible now that we know where it's at. So I throw my drone in and I go and I start looking around. Unfortunately, there is a disruptor. So I can't necessarily get my drone inside the room that we know all of the defenders are in. So we take Fuse, and he goes on the other side. You can see him going down the building on the outside there. And he's going to put his charge in, and he's going to throw a ton of grenades in the room. This is really important. When it goes off, it's going to actually disrupt the team. You're going to hear it go off. You're going to see him get a kill there. But what happens is, because they're all in disarray, our team on the left starts going in. Now, that means all the defenders are trying to defend from that side, so I then breach behind them, which causes confusion. And then the guy that's left, the one guy that's left, doesn't know what to do, so he starts to run, and we take him out. And it happened so quickly because we all just kind of moved at once. If you move together in this game, and if you do it, without the enemy team expecting it, if you go in and you get, different breaches going in from different angles, you'll disrupt the enemy team's communication so much because there's so much going on that you'll oftentimes just steamroll through them. And it's really hard to do in like pub games where you don't really have everybody together, talking to each other. It does happen sometimes, and I've had it happen a few times. I just didn't manage to record it because I was just, trying to learn the game at the time. However, if you had a group of 5 people, this game could be really, really good. Like, really, really good. The performance, let's talk about that for a second. It's not the best, but it's not bad. I have pretty much all the settings turned all the way up. I turn MSAA off because it's just a hog, and you don't need it. It doesn't make the game look any better, in my opinion. But for the most part, you're seeing, the game with almost all of the settings all the way up, and it's running at roughly 60 frames per second on my system. When the game comes out, maybe people will have much stronger systems, at the beginning of December. It's unlikely, unless you're planning an upgrade, it's unlikely that you're probably going to be upgraded by then. So, it's okay. The game is also on PS4 and Xbox One, and news just came out today, actually, so it's good that I made this video today, that the PS4 is running in 1080p and the Xbox One is 900p. So one of those is clearly superior over the other. But the whole thing with it is, if you can get a computer to run it, then it's really, really fun. The fact that all of the environments are fairly destructible, and you could shoot through soft objects such as, wood or, desks, for example. I like it a lot because the fact that things can be destroyed and cover can be taken out, it definitely changes strategies to be more or less what you would expect in this line of work if you were one of these counter-terrorist people. And I also like the amount of, I guess, variety in the operators they have. They have anywhere from the SWAT to the SAS and even the Spetsnaz, and it's just cool to see all of that represented because you get a huge hodgepodge of technologies in there that are really, really cool. And it's just, when you play it with friends, the game is really, really fun, and I would suggest it. Right? I would also suggest, as I said earlier, waiting. If you're not too sure about it, wait a week when the game launches and then kind of see where the community's at. If the community really starts grabbing onto it, then absolutely go for it. But my one fear, and in fact the fear of the guys that I play with as well, is that the game will just lose its community simply because of people moving on. They see that the game is pretty samey. There's going to be other games coming out, Fallout 4 would have just come out, same with Battlefront, and it's just all of this stuff is all coming out this year. So how is this game going to get our attention? I'm not sure. Maybe it'll launch with more maps than intended. They're only supposed to launch with 5. 3 are available in the beta. Out of the 3 I've played, I like 2 of them. So, I kind of really want to try the plane map, but they just don't have it available. Just one of those things. It's I'm hesitant about the game because I really like it and I don't want it to be bad, but I fear that it'll be, that it'll have issues at launch, and which will cause nobody to play it. That's unfortunate. But I think that pretty much summarizes like what the game is, what I think of it, and, you know, gives you a good idea of what the game is like, basically, and how it will play out. I'm sure that the meta of the game, if that's what you want to call it, will change when launch actually happens. It's hard to have a meta established in such a small, short a time with the beta, but, you know, whatevs. I am looking forward to launch, and we'll see if I even get time to play it with everything else coming out. But with that being said, we shall see you guys next time.